What's going on, guys? Welcome back to yet another episode of Vaughn Coleman Presents. I am, of course, your host, Vaughn Coleman. And before we get introduced to our first guest, our guest for today, I do want to show my comic book off. And that, of course, if you are around the channel, Phenomenova. So Phenomenova is set 20 years after World War III and follows the heroic adventures of a newborn superhero that is Miles Hanksley, a.k.a. Galvanite. So Miles Hanksley is the son of a World War III veteran that is struck by lightning while holding a mysterious crystal, and he finds himself awakening with lightning powers and super speed, and he uses these powers to strike out on his own, have some fun, and become a superhero. He wants to live up to the heroic ideals of the superheroes that came before him that fought during the war. Who were they? Well, take a look at some of them right here. This is going to be a prequel series that I want to do at some point. But first, let's start with this. But you will see the Crusader Corps, that's their name, in a prequel series on their own. But for the time being, their ideals to strive towards. And we will see some of them in Phenomenova, but I'm not going to spoil that. You're just going to have to read to find out where they're at and all of that. So here we go. We see them exploring the cave and all sorts of things. And we have our first variant cover. There will be others right here by my friend Sukesha Ray. She's great. She's been on the show before in an interview. So make sure to check her out. We got the whole creative team right here. And if you sign up for the mailing list, you will get an exclusive free trading card. Everything you need to know about this campaign is right here on the sign up page. We have an Instagram, we have a Facebook, we have a Twitter. There's no reason not to check this out. So check it out. And without further ado, let me go ahead and post that. I forgot. It always depends on the time of day on if I have mods that are doing my dirty work. Me trying to share the link. All right, Jolly Green is trying to share the link. Give me a second. I got to give this man. He deserves the power, and I apparently haven't given it to him. So I'm going to amend that right now. You now have moderating powers. Send that link out, Jolly Green, and ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's bring on, and we are almost at 500 signups as of me recording this. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's bring in our guest of honor, Hero DarkyDark. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on, man. It's a pleasure having you on. So I see you got this book out. I had never heard of you, but this book immediately caught my eye, and so I wanted to check it out. And it looks great, man. So you've got 5 days left. Let's go ahead and talk about it. But first, let's get to know the man himself. So are you in a high-speed chase? What's going on here?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have some random car just sped by my window. That was completely random.
I'm just messing with you, man. So what's going on? You got what got you into, I guess, so you're a comic book creator. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you have a YouTube channel. How did this all come about?
Well, for most people, all started by watching Dragon Ball Z. That's really, I'd say those kind of shows really help start getting the creative juice in my mind going. So I was always thinking about different kind of action, different kind of scenarios and stuff. And from there, just kind of just grew into, creating my own world, my own characters, my own stories. And then here I am today.
Nice.
So I guess you could say this is just me fully realizing or coming into my creative self.
That's awesome, man. I have a confession to make. I have actually never seen Dragon Ball.
How dare you?
I know.
All right, well, that's for the stream, everyone. See you.
I know. It's blasphemy. I know. It's one of those things that I need to watch. I haven't personally checked it out yet, but I know it is. It's something people do. So I'm guessing you're more of an anime guy then, based on the art style and what have you.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say American media haven't affected me. I still read a decent amount of comics, even still today.
What do you read?
Things like currently I'm reading Rogue Sun. It's from Image Comics.
I've never
one of
heard
my
of
favorites. I highly recommend it. It's one of those few superhero titles that I'll truly recommend that's new. There's only about 17 issues, and it's a great story.
I've never heard of it, but this art looks kick-ass, man. This looks great.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Rogue Sun. Okay, I'll have to check that out. So you are doing in a manga style, a superhero book. Let me go ahead and pull that up. So it does this weird thing for me, and I don't know why. It's only on my PC, where with Kickstarter only, like never have this problem with Indiegogo or Fund My Comic, but it does this weird thing where it won't show this kind of stuff. And it's all right. I realize pointing at my screen doesn't do anything for the audience. Okay, like the all right. Can you see this? Like this stuff doesn't show up when I pull it up in Chrome, right? But on the flip side, so which is why I'm pulling it up in what the hell is this, Firefox. But on the flip side, if I start playing the video, there's no audio. It's a really weird thing. I don't know what the deal is. Anyway, we got this story here. So you know what? I'm going to pull it up in the other tab, play the video, then do that, and then we'll have you kind of talk about it. Because I figure the trailer might explain some of my questions. He made it for, I would assume, a reason. So, so we're going to go ahead and play this trailer for you, and then we'll get talking about it.
As pillars of society, heroism must stand proud, no matter what. Through injury, madness, nihilism, and even death, a hero shall step up and lay their body on the line like those before them. We may fail, but we will never stand down, for it is through our valor and will that society will be purified for a better tomorrow. Oh God, I couldn't hold it in. What is this, Zeal? Your first draft? It's worded so weirdly. And haven't you ever heard of a word limit? Gotta make it snappy and interesting. Let me show you how it's done. Greetings, peasants. The great villainess, cursed sorcerer Grimora is speaking. Welcome to the show of my creation. Featuring Zeal, the hero of our story. Say hi, Zeal. Fantastic. He's a very odd new gen hero I came across and claims he can return heroism to its once prestigious state compared to its current degenerating from. Hard-pressed to believe from his general lack of abilities, but hey, he has spirit. Who doesn't want to see an underdog story? And if he fails, it'll be hella funny to witness. Coming this... Zeal, when is this campaign starting again?
Late January. It's starting late January 2024. And of course it wasn't finished. You just jumped me and stole my journal, you freaking sociopath.
We've got it all. Violence, explosions, my sexy self. So go, give me your money.
You vile woman. You think this is funny? There's no games here, witch. This town's diseased. Rottenness steeped into the soul, and my crusade shall chip it away piece by piece. I swear, by my flesh and bone, I shall...
Enough of that. The gag goes back on.
Wait. This is my story, isn't it? Why am I playing second fiddle here?
There'll be plenty of cool stuff, so go spend your money on relentlessly bullied hero. #1. Any parting words?
Hashtag.
Really? Well, I still...
Yeah, it's
statement
a
Psych.
long story.
Nice, dude. That's a. So was it like she read the line and thought it meant hashtag or something?
Yeah, basically. And honestly, at that point, I was just like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna keep you in.
That's fair enough.
We get the
That's a
point.
great trailer, man. It's I guess you hired a voice actress.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I could tell. I could tell when it's someone who actually, like, I don't know, has acting abilities and whatever. That's a great trailer. It tells you everything you need to know. And I guess whatever else you could tell me. So this is how many pages? 52 pages.
Yes, 52 plus there'll only be like 8 bonus pages, which would just be like, just some fun other stuff like page journal from the main character Zio and other kind of stuff. And basically there's gonna be like a double spread to help, celebrate the people who back a certain amount as thank you and such.
That's awesome, man. It looks great. The comic looks like fun. 52 pages, and so it's going to be in black and white. It looks like manga style with a colored cover. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. Cool. So that's a pretty good. And how much is that? So we got the digital copy that's for $10 and $17 for a crowdfunded book. That is a very good deal. I've not seen the covers on here on the side, so let me go ahead and get to the covers.
Oh yeah, but some reason Kickstarter was like really annoying with getting the photos on there. So I just like, all right, yeah, it's good. They can just read out the campaign. Thankfully, I'll label them so there's no misunderstandings.
So this is the A cover, right?
Yep.
Then we got the B cover here,
Yep. That's a lot of people's favorite.
and that's why it's the most expensive.
Yeah. It's
then-
kind of like an in-house joke that these kind of steal a lot of spotlight from the hero. So the
Yeah.
fact that Hull is a bit more expensive, but people still pay for it is a double joke.
Yeah. No, for sure. Let's see how many. Well, it looks like a lot of people still bought this one. So, okay. Here we go. And then what is this? These are posters. Nice.
Yes.
Bookmark, all this. So all this is add-ons?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right, so everyone make sure to check this all out. This is great. So tell everyone about the story and what's going on with it.
All right, well, the story, it takes place during a very, I guess you could say, turbulent time in verse. Well, it's been about a few months after a city-style hero, so like the Batman or the Superman, someone like the city really looks up to as like a beacon had died. And so because of that, there's a bunch of, they're called new gen heroes. They're also other names for them, but most of the time they're just called new gen heroes who they either started to gain prominence during that time as, once such a big pillar falls, people need to start picking up his work. And so Zero is among them to him, he starts to see that herodom and society is starting to degrade a little bit as, like I said, with that big pillar gone, there's not as much person who can bring that high standard around. So he started to see it decay, and so he personally wants to try to bring back the heart of his city, basically. And of course, he ends up in a binding deal with villainous Gamora. So now he can't get rid of her no matter what. And she spends her time messing with him, bullying him, just to cure her boredom.
So he has to make a deal with this villainess in order to I'm trying to understand, in order to like get through things.
It's explained in the book. I don't want to ruin
Got it.
of life, but yeah, basically he's in a situation where he can't get rid of her even if he wanted to.
Gotcha. So she's the bully then.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
At least the biggest one. Yeah.
The biggest one. Okay. So what made you inspired to do a hero that, what I like about it, and I know that it is very manga, like even your title is very anime manga, relentlessly bullied hero. It's a title that it tells you what it's about. In words, like in very, very specifically. And so I do wonder, what were your biggest inspirations for this particular story?
Well, it's a kind of fun mix. So of course, My Hero Academia was a big one, very big inspiration. Then of course there's things like Justice League Unlimited, One Punch Man. But funny enough, have you ever heard of an anime called like Uzaki? It was like Uzaki something.
Uzaki.
Yeah, it's basically about these two people that are in college, but the girl keeps on messing with the guy.
Is it Uzaki-chan wants to hang out?
Yeah, that one.
Okay, no, I've heard of it. I've seen memes of it, but she's the one with the massive tits, right? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, surprisingly enough, that and like Nagato one did have like a bit of influence into it. Cause I kind of just thought that'd be a fun dynamic to put in the book. Because I was thinking about of course when you make a book, you gotta think of who your audience for. And I was going through it. It's kind of like, okay, the main character, he's a bit of an edgelord. It's gonna be a little bit hard marketing people to buy an indie book about edgelord doing hill stuff. There's like, I don't know, 20,000 of them out there.
Oh yeah, dude. You made a smarter choice than I did. Both of our books are about like blonde kids. You gave a hot chick to balance it out. I didn't do that, and so I'm gonna struggle with that. Especially doesn't help that everyone just goes, "All right, mine's a self-insert." And it's like, oh, a little, maybe a lot. But like, listen, man, you giving the hot chick is such a good draw. Pairing these two up like a villainous hot chick. It's just a smart even outside of, I'm sure it was a story idea, just a smart move for marketing it. It's great.
Yeah, because like now there's like a just a pose to it, so that okay, if you're buying it, you're not just buying it because of ads. So it's like okay, so why see around them, seeing them interacting that stuff? There's like a extra element in it that makes people more interested. Because hey, if you're not that interested in the guy, well, there's a big titty golf girl right there.
Yeah. And what's good is about, and this is a thing that I noticed even with this pinup, I like this because it's clearly some character stuff. Like, all right, so she's taller than him, she's clearly older, he's annoyed, she's winking at the audience. You know, there's all these on top of, you know, her being hot, there is this character stuff. And I think that is something that often, even in all your covers, right? Or even just that pinup, I like when, like, for example, I'm hiring an artist to do a pinup that's going to be a print that's included with my book. I liked that when I commissioned him, you know, it's a good sign to me when I'm hiring an artist when they start. He goes, at first I was like, oh, why is he asking me these questions? He's like, okay, what's his life like? I'm like, I mean, I guess that, and he starts asking all these things. And after like an interrogation for a couple minutes, he goes, okay, so here's what he's going to be doing in the print. He lays it out, and I'm like, wow, this guy really just totally understands the villain now, and he's just doing a print. You know,
yeah, that's the fun part. Yeah, a lot of time like I'm missing people. I try not to give too many rules. I just kind of like get the bases. Maybe if I have an idea, I might mention it. And after that, I'm just like, hey, you know, go crazy. And sometimes I can kind of just give them like just a lot of lore about it, just for like fun. And I'm just like, hey, you know, there you go crazy and let's see what we can do. And then of course, you know, they'll like give me a draft for such, and you know, depending on how it is, I might just maybe post them in a certain way, depending on how I feel, or if I want them to highlight a dynamic and such.
Yeah, man. And I'm trying to get better at just letting artists do their thing, because I've been getting very, and it does halt the process sometimes when I get very controlling. But sometimes you have to, especially when it's a first issue and you're really trying to solidify your vision. How do you go? Because you're a writer, right? You're not an artist.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that brings me to a question. Did you have like any, did you study writing at all? Like, did you go to school for it, or did you have, when you had intentions to being a writer, were there any writers particularly that you would pull from, or like really, how did you kind of forge yourself into a writer?
I say a lot of it was just more homegrown, as I never actually officially like took a class or went to school for it. I just kind of, like I said, I just watched a lot of different cartoon and animes, so that helped inspire me. And when I was a kid, I was always just writing or even drawing, though horribly, my own stories and stuff. So from there, just kind of course, once I got older, you know, you kind of realize that, okay, yeah, I have all these ideas, but I gotta learn how to put them together.
Right. Yeah. That's the tough part, is I come up with a million ideas and I'm like, okay, this 2-hour movie is 8 hours long. Where you have to kind of condense things. You realize you're like, you know, every idea maybe isn't brilliant, or the worst offense is when you have an idea that's good and it just doesn't fit, and you have to just kind of.
So a lot of what I did is I'll read like those long, like either character analysis, story analysis, or like series retrospective, not to like hang on to every word, but to just kind of get perspective of how you write can actually affect.
Oh, those videos I think are going to help actually this generation of writers. I mean, I'm even going through now and doing an analysis of Final Fantasy VII. I think that those videos and that instant access to these analyses of classic media, or even just stories you like, even newer stuff, is really going to help writers, I think, because it'll be just the deep diving into a story, analyzing why you like it and why it works, I think can make you, or why something doesn't work. I also think heavy criticism of stuff and analyzing why something sucks does also make you a better writer, because it's all about connecting dots, right? And
yeah, for sure.
So I think when I'm going back, like when I was writing my own superhero things and going back to superhero stories that works, like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, I was like, why is this origin story so perfect? What makes it so great? And I would just kind of analyze it. Or when I was writing a slasher movie, right? I went back and I had an assignment for my class. It was to watch a movie and every 3 minutes, mark a bullet point of what happens. And you realize that it's not, because when you're watching a movie, it's just everything's happening. But once you start breaking it down into bullet points, or even I was watching the opening of The Incredibles, and we had to make note every time something happens. Within the first 10 to 15 minutes, that movie covers so much ground. It's such a brisk pace. It's insane. When you really start kind of breaking down media, you really do start to see the craftsmanship of it all. And I love that. So I have a question with this story. So you said it wasn't any particular writers that you pulled from, right? Just kind of more stories.
Yeah, just stories. Of course, I have my own favorite like kind of shows and stuff. So I, took a lot of inspiration from them to see how they write it. But for the most part, it's mostly just going my own way with things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting, man. That's really cool. So, yeah, I mean, just forging your own path and whatever is good. And this logo is good too. I mean, even then, so like he's clearly up against something bigger than him. There she is. I don't know who this doll is, but I guess we'll find out when I read the book. Then we got this one right here. It overall looks like a very solid premise. Printing the Comics Wellspring. I know people love them.
Yeah, they've been great so far.
I'll have to ask you some questions about. I have like multiple people. What is great is multiple people have sent me their printers, which it is great once you get more into indie comics community. The tough part about not being covered by mainstream at all is not having that attention, and being your own marketing branch, which holy God is that time consuming. But the community and meeting new people and making connections and seeing who's willing to help you out is so great. It's so great. For sure. I imagine you were probably recommended them through someone, right? Or no?
Yeah. I mean, technically speaking, this is my first printing job. So, it's not like I have the most experience with them. But so far, they've been, at least for someone like me, it's a good deal for me. As I don't have to deal with handling and such. Yeah, I can just leave that all to them. Yeah, it'll cost more, but I'll be honest, secret, I'm a little bit lazy, so having that.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I do want to quickly go back to that topic you speak about how analysis can be really helpful. It's really good too, because even hearing how other people think, it helps you get out of your own head about your own writing to make you realize some things you might miss.
Yes.
And I feel like a lot of people issue is sometimes they can get somewhat into their own head that they forget that they're making something that someone else got to read, not just them. And it's kind of like that reason is partly why I made the series about Duel, as I'm like, okay, someone's got to be reading this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you realize that someone else, I've read, I'm sure we've all read stories that are incomprehensible. And it's like, did no one check this? Probably not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, that's why I made things the way they are. Kind of like, okay, there's layers to it. Well, the book can be marketable or be appealing to people who do not know the full concepts of everything, but can find their own interest. So, as I mentioned about the setting of the book, okay, people can find interest to that and read it. Or the main pairing, there's not often that the main characters will be on two completely different side of the law. Okay, right. Well, that can attract people, and then so on and so forth.
Right.
And then, of course, with the personalities being as dynamic as they are, it makes things easier to just make things character focused and do things at just a glance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It seems like you're playing around with a lot of interesting dynamics, and that's always fun. So let me ask you a question. Have you had, because you mentioned looking at other stuff, have you had people proofread your stuff, or do you have an editor?
Technically speaking, I don't have a actual editor, but I have friends and stuff who I'll show them the script and ask them questions. I'll ask them, hey, how did this look? I need to work on this. So not really an editor, but just friends I can just slide it over to and just be like, hey, how did this read to someone outside of my view? And
gotcha.
Yeah, so far from everyone who read it, I got good compliments.
Oh, that's the great feeling is when you're insecure about something and then you're expecting someone to say it sucks and they're like, no, it's good. And I'm like, now
Like, oh my goodness.
conversely, the reverse, which we've all dealt with, where you're like, you hand something off to someone and think it's good, and they're like, what? This isn't good. And I'm like, no. You have to kind of. Sometimes I remember the tough phase is when you're defending it and you're going, no, you don't get it. It's this. If everyone in the room doesn't get it, that doesn't inherently mean you're wrong. Sometimes you could be just in the room with the bad people. I understand that happens, but most of the time, it's probably because you're doing something wrong. If no one gets it, I mean, even I think, not to bash Zack Snyder, but Zack Snyder was like, if you don't like my DC stuff, you just don't get it. I'm like, I get it, man. I get DC characters. I have a wall full of it. I get it very well. No, he did what he was doing, I guess. Well, if you want to call it that, what he was doing sucked. Oh, let's make are you a Snyder fan? Hold on. I'm sorry. If you were a Snyder
no, I'm not. Trust, I don't care. Like, I like some of his movies, but I'm not a dedicated,
Snyder cultist.
Exactly. Like, I did not care whether or not Justice League got its official cut or not.
Oh, but, I didn't either. Most people didn't. Most people did not care. And I watched it and certainly cared less after seeing it. Everyone was telling me, like, Vaughn, it changes everything. I'm like, I mean, you're entitled to that opinion, man. I don't like seeing colorless, unless if it's a black and white manga, that's fine. But like gray tone superheroes, like muted colors more so. Like this, it's like dynamic. It's okay. It's, that's stylized in a way. And it's also a new property. But when you're taking something like Justice League that's known for being colorful and you just kind of go, yeah, but how about like we don't do that? It's like, all right.
Yeah, that wasn't his best move.
Yeah, let's make Flash's lightning.
I did like the Snyder cut. Oh yeah, that was dumb. Like personally, I thought Snyder cut was pretty good. Like I'll give it, if the original movie was like a 4 or 3 out of 10, the Snyder cut was like a 6 or 7. It was like, all right, who knows what you could have done. But it's like, you I felt like you kind of went too hard into the everything's depressing and stuff. It was like,
God, so annoying.
Like,
it was so cringe. It was cringe. So I have a question for you. So this is issue 1. How many issues are you planning on doing? Is this a self-contained story?
No, there's definitely gonna be a issue 2, especially since you got funded. I kind of like playing a little bit fast and loose with things. Was like, okay, if because if issue 2 or issue 3 does well, I'm like, okay, seems people are actually very invested in this series. I can go up to things like issue 20 or 25 and such. But like by issue 2 or 3, I can barely get anyone to like even look my way. Then it's kind of like, okay, yeah, I guess, while it might have some people, it's not really enough. But I should probably not always put my eggs in this basket and then easily wrap it up in like issue 8 or less and such.
Oh yeah, you might have the pivot. I wrote like 8 issues. Now it was actually 11 at one point. I combined the first 3 into one giant size. But it's like, oh man, I write for the long term forever, and it's now when you experience it and you become every cog in the machine. Maybe not their art team, but you have to market it, you have to publish it, you have to hire everyone. You have like all this little stuff, getting the printer, whatever. Now I'm someone who's overthinking things for sure, but you realize how much work it all is. Because at first I was like, why doesn't everyone just self-publish? And now I'm like, yeah, I get why not everyone self-publishes. It's a lot of work, but it'll be worth it. And you own this. This is your IP. And are you planning on pitching around to publishers, or are you just doing your own thing?
Yeah, I am planning on sending it off to like Inactive Press, those kind of peeps.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, hopefully it does. And yeah, basically the stuff like that. So it's like, all right, I kind of just want to make sure that I kind of like build my fan base a bit to help make it easier to, not only for this project, but for any other projects I do, it'll be easier to call them to it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And this is an IP
Inactive Press thing, just more of helping it get more spread out. So
Right. Yeah, you want more eyes. That's the thing. It's tough, man. Because one of the toughest things, because especially this IP, is just even looking at it. There's going to be more than 36 people that are interested in this product, right? It's a matter of reaching them and convincing them to buy it is the tough part. Because I know there's so many people that would love my comic, but it's like getting there. A lot of people. The worst feeling is knowing that there are people that will possibly live and die who would have loved whatever you're working on that will never even know it existed or will never pick it up. And that's the tough part, man. Like, I'm sure there are indie comics that I totally missed that I would have loved, you know?
Oh yeah.
So let me ask you this. As a first-time creator, what has been the hardest part of the process for you?
Definitely the getting people to look my way about the project.
Oh man, yeah.
Cause that's by far the hardest. Cause like I'm not that egotistical, but I have a decent amount of confidence that the idea I have can interest people. It's just that I gotta convince people that some guy with basically no following or no following at all selling some manga book is actually gonna, one, they actually gonna be willing to pay for it, and two, what they pay for will actually be worth it.
The money, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, because that's, y'all technically speaking actually a good amount for people, especially nowadays, considering the economy and such. So it's like, it's gonna be hard to like convince a lot of people to both trust me and be willing to invest.
Absolutely.
Let's be honest, a lot of people like riding hype trains and actually be the trend maker.
It's tough. And that goes for that. Not even just that goes for customers too. I'd always be like, why don't people look at new stuff? And I'm like, well, am I looking at new stuff often enough? Am I backing unknowns often enough?
Yeah, exactly.
It's people want something they trust. And so I think with the first issue, this getting it out there and wowing people and getting them. And eventually, if people like it enough, they'll promote it on their own. I tell people if I'm interested in something, hey, you got to check this out, man. This is great. And it's not a paid spot. I've yet to get paid for sharing anyone's stuff. It's when you want to promote something and you really are passionate about it and you're really a fan of something, you will. I mean, even just earlier, you start off telling me I need to watch Dragon Ball. They didn't pay you. That kind of passion is just contagious. As far as I know, unless they're just paying all you guys in droves, and I don't think they are.
Yeah, that's probably why the whole antidepressant, and I may even try. I know some people are trying to get this stuff on Amazon. Yeah, I'm looking to those avenues because even if I don't make a lot of profits from it initially, just having it out there will be good. As even if they didn't initially buy into issue one, if they find issue one on like Amazon or like at the local comic book, they might start looking to issue two, as it'll be like, hey, yeah, this wasn't so bad. Hey, when issue two coming out?
Absolutely. Yeah. You want to, again, captivating. That's why I put so much effort in. I don't think I'll ever put more work into a single issue than I did of issue one of my comic, because I mean, you get that one chance to wow them. And people might not be, unless they really see something with potential, or they really like you as a creator, or they like your publishing. They might not come back for the next issue. And that's why it's so important to really wow them on that first go around.
Yeah, that's why to me, I say like the first volume of this IP is going to be the most important. As of course, there's going to be issue 1, 2, and 3, but volume 1 will be like the one with the most content, so that people can still start at the number 1, but get the better or the best view of the story. And hopefully that view of the story will be enough to actually get them interested that, I want to follow the story.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a good book. The premise is very interesting. What is the main character's powers, by the way? Are we allowed to know that?
Yeah. So it's in a lot of different pages and stuff, so it's not that hard to put together, but basically it's very shadows based. I know, perfect for an edgelord.
Yeah, it's an edgelord power.
works. Yeah, I remember when I was first creating a character, I was talking to my friend, and I was just like, all right, this guy's an edgelord. What'll be the perfect power for an edgelord to have?
Shadows, of course. You gotta do
Yeah,
shadows.
of course. Another one that was suggested was like, but haven't watched Naruto?
Only a few episodes, unfortunately.
Have you heard of the guy called Kimimaru?
No. Is he in the first few episodes? If he's not, then no. I watched the first fight through Zabuza, and that was about it.
Okay, yeah, no, he didn't appear. Lastly, so he just someone who basically can grow bones from himself to fight and stuff. And so my friend and I were talking, it was just like, that could be his power, and he can pretend it hurts to grow out its bone, but really he's just being dramatic. But back to this kind of sad with Shadowlands, it leaves a lot of potential, and then I saw that narratively I can actually do a lot with that concept.
Sorry, I forgot to say hi to everyone in chat, by the way. Gooch, Dante. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Jolly Green Man, Michael Dice. I forgot to say hi to everyone in chat. That was my bad. I was so focused on you. But yeah, so we've got the shadows, and now what are her powers?
Hone is basically it's more magic based. It doesn't really matter. So basically, her magic power is basically it's based on depending on. So the 7 deadly sins.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, for her, she can change between each form, and then each one, technically speaking, gives either ability or a certain state. So we'll see that for her, pride gives her light and enhance basically body function, ability, whatever you call it. Because you're prideful, so of course you're for yourself. And so better way to be prideful is, of course, being able to fly, so you can always be above people and being tougher, and so on and so forth.
Right on, dude. Right on. This book looks great. I'm really looking forward to it. Again, it's new creator, new story, new IPs. How many you got? Looks like you got quite a few artists involved for the interior. So is your main artist? Did he do any of the covers?
No, he was too busy with all the interiors to do a cover. I know a lot of people say, it's probably get him to do one cover. So I'm gonna see if next issue I'll probably be like, okay, first do a cover, then you can work on this.
That's what I did with mine. Mine. I wanted to start advertising my sign up list right away because I'm like, well, let's just the comics in motion. Let's start advertising it. And so the first thing I had him do after some character designs was cover. Back to finishing some character designs, and so that way the ball has always been rolling. And now that while he's working on pages is when I'm getting my other. I'm like everything that he doesn't need to do, I'm gonna get. So everything's kind of going in motion at once. And I was also because at first I was gonna just finish my book entirely when I launched my campaign. By the way, is this book finished?
Yeah, it's basically finished. The only thing left is like literally inking the final pages. Okay. And then probably like before we go print, like probably like brushing up some of the earlier pages, but literally just the last pages needs to be ink and we're good.
Gotcha, dude. Yeah, that's really cool. One of the things is that I want to, that you're pretty far in then. I want it to be mostly done. And I was like, well, I'll get done before I do it and have the quickest turnaround time. And then as I was mapping out the time, I'm like, well, I need at least 30 days to advertise the book. A lot can get done in 30 days. Why don't I start now that I'm more than halfway done? Wait another month to get further along. And then during those 30 days, when I'm not advertising the book, we'll be getting it together. So get everything ready to launch. And once I have enough just to launch, then fine tune everything else is my plan. It looks like you have more than enough to launch. When is the turnaround time? Is it as soon as this? Are you launching on any other platforms, or are you just Kickstarter to the next thing?
I know I'm looking into trying things like My Fun Comics and maybe Indiegogo, as I heard that at least My Fun Comics is pretty good. So I want to see how this book is start there as kind of like a way to test fundraising a bit more to see, okay, can I do better? Is there ways to get more people interested and that kind of stuff? So most of the the printing itself and fulfillment is just like, okay, yeah, I can probably like it starts shipping in April, basically. As like I said, I wanted to get basically most of it or all of it done before we went to launch. As I said, I'm a little bit lazy, so I personally don't want to do it. Okay, yeah, we start the launch and we don't even have like half the book finished, and then something happens, like my artist got sick or something, and now I'm having to fumble around trying to deal with all that, and then constantly update. I'm like, nah, I'm a little bit too lazy for that. Let me just make sure everything's finished so that once we launch, I basically have little else to worry about outside of just marketing and just making sure all our other aspects gets complete. Because I'm a decently honest person, so I'm like, okay, let me just have everything out there so that you know what you're getting, I know you know what you're getting, and then everything else can just go smoothly. So there's no wahala over what's what.
Right. You want to make sure that you just kind of get everything, that it's squared away, and you get it to them. So are you shipping within the year, or when do you expect to have it to people?
April.
Nice. That's a fast turnaround time, guys. So make sure to do that. Yeah, I that's really exciting, man. I'm really looking forward to this. I think this is going to be a good project. Where's the best way everyone can keep in contact with you? I know you.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
Where's the best way everyone can get in contact with you?
Well, I have a Twitter. That's probably like the best form, as I'm not on there all the time, but I'm on there a decent amount, mostly just to check with friends or networking or checking other stuff. So if you get on there, send me a message, I can easily respond. There's a YouTube, and yeah, basically just mostly those two places. I have a Facebook, but I'll be honest, I don't really use it outside of just spamming in groups that, hey, look,
Oh man, I'm there with that. Yeah.
Yes,
But
just those two
occasionally you
places.
get something like, even today, I remember I was like, I've replied to like this guy Star Million and Comics for Everyone and like the same few people every day. And I was like, you know what, man? Like, why do I even like, okay, is anyone new even going to see it? And then today, new people saw it, like the same shit. Cause I was like, okay, at this point, they're just repeating the same people. And new people were like, wait, where can I get this? I'm like, hold on. Okay. So you never know. Sometimes you just need to keep going. And by the 10th time they hear about it, they'll be like, oh yeah. Like I've had people that have been liking my posts for months. And I asked them, I'm like, are you on the sign up list? Like, oh, how do you do that? I'm like, I literally every time I'm like, sign up at this link. And they're like, oh, I didn't know there was a sign up list. I'm like, do you just look at the art? Like, keep going?
I don't do it every day, but like I try to do it like like every other day. So like once every 2 or 3 days, so that I'm not feeling a bit too repetitive, but I'm doing it enough whereas it's easy for like anyone new to possibly see it.
Yeah, you gotta be that. Sometimes you have to be that gnat in the ear. It's because people are like, oh, you don't want to be too pushy. I get that. Like there are certainly people that are too pushy, but sometimes, man, you gotta like, especially if you're on lower levels, you have to be undeniable, and you don't want to just like necessarily annoy everyone to the point where they don't even want to talk to you anymore. It's a line to walk for sure. It's a line to walk for sure. But Hero DarkyDark is your name on everything, right?
Yes.
And why? What inspired that name? I'm just curious. It's an interesting name.
Mostly just has to mostly do like things like One Punch Man. There's a hero name called Flashy Flash. So
Okay,
yeah, just one of those things where like the wizard is a lot simpler.
gotcha. That's really cool, man. So everyone make sure to check him out on everything. Make sure, let's see if we got any new backing during the course of this stream. Okay, well, maybe later. Make sure to share this on your socials to get people to get to know you. And I'll make sure my people check you out on YouTube. What kind of YouTube videos do you do?
Me, it's mostly just whatever I feel like. At the moment, I'm just mostly doing I won't say comic strong, but just me talk about like different shows that I like. So just making a subject about something and then speaking about it for like a couple of minutes. And I feel like that's probably like the best way to like grow a second audience that, like, hey, like this week I talked about Beyblades because I'm a huge Beyblades fan. But it's like, you know, at the end of my video, I'll always just mention my book. So it's like, okay, you know, if anyone watched the video who were like a Beyblade fan and they was actually willing to get to the end of the video, which means that they're at least somewhat interested in what I was speaking about, all right, they'll see my book and hey, they might give it consideration.
Mhm.
So this kind of like a second way to go on audience.
Oh yeah, I've had my YouTube channel has gone through so many phases, and it's going to continue to. I've had my YouTube channel for 10 years. I've made everything from get updates and theories on Injustice, which is the video game, to live streaming with you know, everything in between, short films, you name it. And I'm probably just going to continue to, although growing an audience is good. It's about consistency, and it's about expanding your outreach while also catering to your audience. It's a tough, it's all tough, man, but you got to weather the storm and you got to create, and you're doing it. You're putting your book out. And when did you come up with that idea, by the way?
For this book?
Yeah, for this book.
I say it was in conceptions about 2 years ago, but it really came into like full form like last year.
Gotcha. Yeah, that tends to happen. Mine has been in my head for so long and in so many different forms. But anyway, make sure to check out this book. Follow this man. And if you're watching this and you found me through him, hi, how you doing? My name's Vaughn. If you missed the beginning, check out my book. Check out his book. Check out my book. Go to RebelOasisStudios.com and you will find the sign-up page for Phenomenova and join the mailing list. And stay tuned because tomorrow I might even have a second interview. We'll see. I literally was getting Twitter messages while I was streaming. But I have possibly one of my biggest interviews yet, if not my biggest interview yet. Ladies and gentlemen, I am interviewing one of my favorite comic book artists, Bob McLeod, tomorrow. So Bob McLeod, the co-creator of The New Mutants, who inked some iconic covers, some iconic stuff, Kraven's Last Hunt, all sorts of great stuff. Yeah, man, he's a legend. Love the guy to death. Great guy. I'm so happy to be interviewing him tomorrow. So make sure to tune in at 7 p.m. Turn on that notification. You're not going to want to miss this. And another interview with Mr. Berger on Wednesday. He is another indie creator. So make sure to check that out. Thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, stay awesome. And I'll be seeing you around. I got some special content on the channel, some special updates for Phenomenova. There will be a launch date that is just about set in stone. And then I'm going to have no life for like the next month. Haven't really for this month either. That's okay. So anyway, thank you guys so much. And I'll see you next time. Peace out. Have a great night.